Hello, everyone. Here to cover the games played on June 1st, and we'll start off with New York and Connecticut. This game was a blowout pretty much from the beginning. At the end of the first, it was 31-13. But I thought Connecticut would have more fight in them, but they just couldn't make any shots. So Jacqueline Jones hit some threes in the first, and then Phoebus hit some. UNESCO hit some. New York looked like everything was just free flowing, and Connecticut, everything looked forced, and they were just the only one hitting any kind of shot was Tina Charles, and she just wasn't enough. So in the second, New York put their bench in. Connecticut was still missing shots. New York went on a 19-2 run. New York had very good ball movement, more threes for JJ. The team was shooting 64%. New York was shooting 64%. Tina Charles was, she was doing her best, but nobody else really was contributing. A little bit here and there, but they were shooting 29% in the first half. And then there was bad defense on New York. On Connecticut, they let New York drive all the way to the hoop on multiple occasions, and by the end of at halftime, it was 28-60. I think that was like the most points scored in a half. I think I remember them saying that. The third was more of the same. New York actually increased their shooting percentage to 67, and they made 18 threes. In the fourth, New York put their bench back in, and then Maureen Johannes had two really nice passes to Jonquil Jones. As far as Connecticut goes, they put Anisha Morrow in the game, so she got some playing time. Let's see here. As far as scoring goes, Phoebus and Brianna Stewart had 13 points, so did Jonquil Jones. UNESCO had 18. Cloud had 8. Kennedy Burke had 7. Isabel Harrison got in the game. She had a really nice turnaround jump shot in the key there. And Johannes had 8, and Jalen Sherrod had 6. And then we had Gardner had 3, and Marquisha Davis got in. She got a couple points too. But the big thing was like shooting percentage. You're looking at 3-point shooting percentage: 100, 100, 100, 75, 75. 50, 66. UNESCO was 4 for 6. You shoot like that, no one's going to beat you. Connecticut's highest scorer had 10 points. You had two people. Sheldon and Tina Charles had 10 points. Mabry had 8. She shot 22%. She was 2 for 11. Sonia Rivers was 1 for 7. She only had 2 points. Anisha Morrow had 8. She was 2 for 6, and then 2 for 5 from 3. So, anyway, that was pretty much it. Final score 100-52. And that was it for Connecticut and New York. And then the next game, which was a really good game, was the Aces and the Storm. Seattle ended up taking... Seattle ended up playing well, but they just couldn't capitalize. Jackie Young was hitting threes, and Seattle was stealing the ball and then getting blocks, but they could never capitalize on it. And Vegas was up at the end of the first quarter, 27-17. In the second, this was like the first half. Skylar Diggins just couldn't catch a break. She was getting blocked. She was, passes were getting intercepted. She wasn't hitting. Fortunately for Seattle, Gabby Williams went 6 for 8, I believe. But then, on Vegas' side, Jewel Lloyd was hitting some threes. So Dana Evans was contributing. She hit some shots. And by the end of the half, it was 44-32 Vegas. And again, in the third, my notes that I took down, Skylar's, it was just not her night. Shots not falling. Then with the final 6 minutes of the third, she started driving to the hoop. And she hit a couple of shots, which brought Seattle back to 44-40. But then almost immediately, Vegas went on a three-point shooting rampage, and they hit threes to build that to 14. It was just too many mistakes from Seattle. And by the end of the third, it was 61-47. But Seattle didn't quit. At the beginning of the fourth, it was a 14-point lead, and then Erica Wheeler came in, and Erica Wheeler had a few moments there. She got pummeled. She had this, I think, 3 different collisions, and she hit some shots that got them back in it, and she also. She had this drive. They got a steal, and she drove all the way down the court, and A'ja Wilson was waiting there. And Erica Wheeler was not afraid, and she went right in and got a foul on A'ja Wilson. Dominique Malonga came in the fourth. She looked pretty strong. She had a couple of hoops. But then, you have Chelsea Gray she hit 2 huge threes that gave them, and one of them was over Malonga. So it kept going back and forth, but in the end, just too many mistakes down the closing stretch for Seattle, and they just couldn't. Other than Gabby Williams, they just were not shooting that well. I mean, they tried to make up for it with other things, but. The Aces ended up finally winning 75-70. And was looking at some of the scoring here. Gabby Williams had 20, Nneka had 9, but she only shot 30%. She was 4 for 13. Gabby Williams shot 50% from the field and from 3. So she was there. Her and Erica Wheeler both shot. Oh, that's interesting. They both shot 50% from the field and from 3. So, but Erica Wheeler was a little not enough too late in the game. So Skylar shot 33%. She was 5 for 15, and she was 0 for 3 from 3. So you had Gabby with 20, Skylar with 11, Dominique Malonga had 8, Wheeler had 8. And then Nneka only had 9. That hurt them. Alicia Clark had 5. And then the Aces, they spread it around. That's what makes them so good. They have you have Jackie Young, you have Wilson, you have Chelsea Gray, and Jewel Lloyd. And they were just, they each contributed. Jackie Young had 12. A'ja had 19. And that was a quiet 19. She was 9 for 22, but it seemed worse. She was missing some shots. Jewel Lloyd had 10. Chelsea Gray had 10. Aaliyah Nye came in, I think it was in the third quarter, and she hits a couple of shots. And then Dana Evans had some in the third quarter, too. She ended up having 20 minutes of playing time. But she had 9 points. So overall, the fourth quarter was very entertaining, but it was just Seattle just couldn't catch a break. They were just not hitting their shots. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so final score 75-70. The Aces win, and then the last game I was going to cover for this video was Phoenix and the Sparks. So the Sparks went out to a lead in the first. They were up 27-17 in the first quarter, and then they built on that at halftime. So they outscored. The Sparks ended up outscoring Phoenix 27-17, and then 23-20. So they were up. 13 points at halftime. And then something happened to them in the third quarter, and they got outscored 24-9 in the third. They should have won this game, but they lost it in the third quarter. It was 24-9, and then they got outscored in the fourth, 21-24. But Anyway, so we had, yeah, the end of the third, Phoenix was winning 61 to 59. Um, Odyssey Sims was playing really well. She scored 30 points. I think she actually scored 32. She was good in the first half, and then it just dropped off later in the game. Late threes by Phoenix, Sably and McConney gave them a 6 point lead with time doing like 2 or 3 minutes left. The big thing was Kelsey Plum was not shooting well, and she kept trying to hit shots, and they just weren't falling for her. But she drove to the foul line near the end and got it back down to a 2 point game with a minute left. But then they just went to Plum, and in the last minute, she had 3 attempts and all missed. And Phoenix ended up winning 85 to 80. So we'll look at the box scores here. Hamby had 15, Plum had 15, but she shot 21%. She should have been just trying to drive instead of trying to make those shots. But she makes them normally, so she's, Odyssey Sims had 32 points. She shot 10 for 14, 71% from the floor, and shot 90% from the foul line. She was 9 for 10 at the foul line. But that was it. Everyone else had virtually, just a couple points. And they need more than that. Stevens only had 5 points. She shot 2 for 10. Let's see who else. Cannon shot 1 for 8. Just not good enough shooting. Phoenix, on the other hand, they had 5 people in double figures. Laska, I've been liking seeing how she plays well. She hustles, and she's a nice 3-point shot. She shot 60% from the field, 66% from 3 points, and she was 7 for 7 from the line. And then Sably, she shot okay, 36% from the field. That's not that great, but she was 40% from 3, and then 8 for 11 from the foul line. They went to the foul line. Those two went to the foul line a lot. Catherine Westbeld, she had 15 points. That was nice to see. She shot 50% from the field and 60 from 3. Sammy Whitcomb had 11, and Mokani had 10. And then Kalani Brown had 8. They had such a height advantage in there. They should have went into her. I mean, well, they didn't need to. They ended up winning, but they should use her more. She's 6'7". Get her in the game more. But overall, that was the 3 games. We had 2 really good games and 1 not so good game. But other than that, it's, that's the way it's going to go sometimes. Some people are going to hit their shots, and, hopefully you don't have games where nobody's hitting. And, that was the case for Connecticut. But on to some other games coming up. We got 3 more we're going to do. And enjoy the games.